with this. Here we go.
Thank you everyone for joining us today at Levittown Public Library's Ask You program with Kimberly Sabat. Today is February 7th, 2022, approximately 11 a.m. Go ahead, Kim.
Good to see everybody back. And those of you that might be new, I don't see a hi, Marie. There's no new names that are jumping out at me, but there might be during the YouTube. So I have to address some of you that are new. First thing I want you to pay attention to, and really the only thing, is listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, please don't continue the movement. Wait for me to give you some modifications if I could think of them. If I don't, then just skip the movement. I'll be right with you with another movement. Don't get frustrated with yourselves if you're new. Don't get frustrated with me either. Spank your bottom. Don't get frustrated because you might find something maybe a few moves in or towards the end of this series that works really well for you. So just hang out if you're new. Today we're going to be using a strap, which is just a belt, regular old belt. You have to have a lot of resistance on it. So don't use any of your fashion belts, ladies, and certainly don't use one of those PT rubberized stringy thingy. Don't use that. Use a regular belt. Other thing we're going to use is a pillow. If you're using a pillow off of your bed and you don't have a block like I do, or a yoga block like I usually have, you need to have a lot of resistance, so you'll be folding your pillow in half. We're going to be doing two different routines today. We're going to get a little bit heavier again towards the end and build some strength. But to start out with, I decided to give you one of the routines that comes from one of Pete's older books, and that is Pain-Free Living. And there's 3 routines in that book, all designed to address 3 different personality and posture types. So we tend to look at the postures as if they predominantly have a posterior pelvic tilt where the pelvis tucks under, if they have an anterior pelvic tilt where the pelvis tips forward, and or if they also have imbalances where something left to right is off from either side. So we're going to do that one right in the middle, the imbalance routine, which is one I've done for years. It's always a great go-to for everybody because everybody's got some sort of imbalance from left to right, despite whatever predominating pelvic tilt they have. So we're going to start out just taking ourselves to the wall, and we're going to put our heels on the wall, and then we're going to internally rotate from both of our hips while we stand. What this is going to do is it's going to simulate a move that I can't show you, which would be gravity drop or wall drop. Well, that's something that you need a set of stairs to do. So like I said, I can modify an awful lot. When you do this internal rotation, I'm going to stand here for 3 minutes. When you do this internal rotation from both of your legs, what it does is it traps your hips in a way that the left and right sides are forced to do more even work, more symmetrical work, especially if you're trapping your heels on the wall at first. A lot of this work, I want you to pay attention to what's going on from your waist down. Don't try to do anything with your shoulders just yet. We'll save that for later. This is not a move for everyone. Of course, like I said, if something is bothering you or hurts, turn your feet straight, or you could stand in the middle of the room and do this. Some of you don't have a wall or a door to come up against. Some of you might have a different shape on your behind or on your back, and it might be pushing you off of the wall and you feel like you're falling forward. If that's happening, then your feet are probably behind your hips. The point of trapping yourselves against the wall, everybody, is so that we can get your load-bearing joints, which are your ankles, your knees, your hips, and your shoulders, to stack vertically. So if you've got a different shape in your behind and your behind is coming way far forward, it's certainly not a vertical stack. So I want you to step your feet maybe a few inches forward until you feel like your heels are underneath your hip joints. A lot of you have done this with me for a while. So it's time to enter into some of the more nuanced characteristics of this move. What you can also do now is pay attention to the distribution of weight across both of your feet. So I know I asked you to internally rotate from both of your hips. We're going pigeon-toed, so the big toes are touching each other. But now I want you to pay attention to the load on your actual feet. So if you feel like most of that weight is going to the outside edge of your feet, you can now start to adjust and distribute that so that you can get the insteps of your feet to feel just as evenly loaded into the floor. but the knees stay straight, everybody. In fact, for many people who are brand new to this move, I ask you to have your thighs tight. You keep your thighs tight. Any bend in the knee is going to stop this move from creating a chain reaction through your spine. This is what we're going for. We're actually adjusting the position of your head by changing the position of your feet. And if the knees are bent, it's just like a seesaw. If that seesaw is broken anywhere, that plank of wood does not stay flat, stable, and strong, the seesaw doesn't work. So we have to keep the knee straight so that all of this work can go through the hip into the spine and therefore to the head. Last minute, everybody. This is one of my favorite routines. We're going to do some stuff standing. We're going to do some stuff laying on the floor. And then we're going to get into some other wall moves and maybe even some sitting moves if we have time. It's a great routine. If you enjoy this beginning routine, you can go to my YouTube where I have posture B routine. I have the three postures that I talked about earlier. You can go and find all three of those routines, which I get from the book, and I put them together in a video for your free use. So you can do this again and again. Like I said, this is one of the routines I did for years. Excellent routine. I love it. My body feels great when I'm done. Okay, I'm going to take you into forearm stretch. This also requires a wall to do. If you don't have a wall, you might be doing a hands and knees pose, but we'll get down there anyway. So if you don't have the wall, we'll skip it. Pretend you're looking through a wall at me. The position I want to take is keeping my feet right underneath my hips. So it's about the length of a dollar bill going through all my joints. I'm going to place my hands on the wall in front of me with my fingers down so I can see my palms. Now, this can be painful to some of you who have wrist issues, injuries, things like that. So I'm going to give you the opportunity. If this 90-degree angle starts hurting you as you're trapping yourself against the wall, you can lower your hands. You can see the angle. Actually, the angle actually increases. It doesn't decrease, but the pain or sensation will decrease because the flexion is decreasing. So you can do that. You can also stance the hands a little wider. But what we're going for with this move is to trap the shoulders and trap the legs in such a way that we can get the body to change for us. So I'm standing about 8 inches away from the wall, and I'm placing my hands on the wall, just like I showed you. I can do the 90 degrees. If you can't, here's where you're going to check it, and you're going to lower your hands if your wrists hurt. I'm going to lean into the wall, but I'm not leaning in using my head or my hips. I'm leaning in using my shoulders. So as I lean in, my shoulders come back and down, and I'm just standing here for 1 minute. So again, I'll show you one more time. I lean in, my shoulders come back and down. I'm not leaning in with my hips bailing forward or my head looking down. It's a little different than some of the other moves. 1 minute. This one's called forearm stretch. Like I said earlier, this is our posture B routine. Pete calls it condition 2. But I called it posture B because I was kind of doing my own Kim rebranding. Either way, it's the same thing. So this is a condition 2, posture B, the imbalance routine. So we use a lot of wall and floor because what we're going after with the imbalance is somebody who's got something different from left side to right side. But it really should be even. It should be symmetrical. So we trap the body against the wall and against the floor so that it can even out its own asymmetries. That's what we're asking the body to do. All we're doing via Egoscue and that posture method is stimulating the body, and then the body will auto-correct itself. We don't say anything is wrong, or this is broken, or this doesn't work, or you need surgery for this to reattach this somewhere else. We trust the wisdom of the body. So that's why this can be a very safe practice to take. I'm going to take you guys into the middle of the room. If you've got a wall to do windmill, go for it. But I don't, because I've got the heater down here. So I can't bring my heels to the wall and bring my body out wide. So I'm going to imagine that I have my body against the wall. My feet are pointed straight ahead. My arms come out to a T and my hands are open nice and wide. I'm moving only through my waist. It might look like I'm sliding my hips back and forth, but I'm not. My hips stay right over my heels. So your body from the hips down must stay in place. Only moving through the mid, no, more like the lower back. So we're taking lateral flexion of the torso, and the spine is articulating left and right. We're only in the frontal plane. So I'm not twisting my body. I'm pretending I'm against a wall. My thumb and my pinky are against the wall. My heels stay down on the floor. I'm leaning over until I feel something, maybe a little bit further. Like you could hear it in my voice. It's tough. It should be tough. You don't want to go, oh yeah, this is kind of easy. Oh, give yourself a little bit of a challenge. Separate your feet wider, about 2 feet wide. Feet still stay parallel. So this move is the windmill. Yes, you can do it standing. Yes, you can do it sitting. I'm not moving through my shoulders. It's good that I get to see a lot of you and you keep your videos on so that I don't see this, because if I do, I'm coming to your house. We're not trying to flag down any of the flights from LaGuardia or JFK. Open wider, everyone. Feet are still parallel. Take a look down. If you've never done this before, look at your feet. Just because mine are parallel doesn't mean that yours are going to be parallel. Keep them parallel. That's going to put more load onto your hips. It's going to feel harder to do to turn your feet parallel. So what your body automatically does is it's lazy and it tries to avoid wasting energy if it can. So it's going to point both of your feet out to the corners of the room instead. That's what it wants to do because it's trying to save energy without you thinking about it. So far, these first moves are done against the wall. We want to get rotation out of the body. We want it to work more symmetrically. Come back to our first position, please. We're back at our beginning spot, feet hip distance. Heels stay down. Heels stay down. My window's going up. Too hot. Burning up in here. And now I'm on the squeaky part of the floor, of course. We're going to take it down to the floor next, everybody. We're going to come down to the floor. I'm going to take you through femur rotations and some really nice stretches. If you cannot get down onto the floor, maybe you want to do this on the bed. It's not the best to do it on the bed because your bed is squishy. However, you do what you can do. We can only take what the body can give. So I'm taking you guys down to the floor now. And we are going to do femur rotations. When you do femur rotations, really want you to pay attention to the movement only coming from your hip. Those of you that are new, when you do the rotations, take my socks off so you can see, you're going to end up moving through the ankle and moving your foot. And you think you're moving from your hip, but you're not. So you have to use your eyes if you're new to this. Look at your leg while it's doing its work. You don't want this movement to come from your foot. You want it to come only from your hip. Foot and knee stay still. You lay on your back. This is our hook lying position. Again, if you can't lay down like this, just put your feet up when you're sitting in a chair. Pick another chair. Put your leg out in front of you on a chair. Figure something out, but it can be done sitting. One of my knees is bent. That's the one that's not going to do the movement. The leg that's straight out on the floor is going to do the movement. So I like to place my hand on the hip just to remind myself, Kim, rotate only from your hip. Thighs tight, ankle is dorsiflexed. So I pull my toes towards me and I rotate the entire leg in and out, in and out. I can't stress it enough that these moves that I'm explaining, unless I'm saying to spread your legs wider, Everything is done with that hip distance that I keep showing you when I'm standing up. Hip distance. So both of my feet, my ankles, my knees are the distance of my hips. They're the same width. Like I said, if you're new to this, look down your body while you do this. If you see, oh, my ankle is doing all of this movement, or at the very end, my ankle is finishing the move. I want you to keep your ankle still. I'm going to switch. This is one of my favorite moves, femur rotations, because the response of my body to this exercise is so profound. It's such a simple move, and it can feel challenging to you guys. It feels a little challenging to me. But when I stand up, there's such an effect of balance that I can feel immediately after this move. Maybe not for you guys. Maybe you feel a little bit more balanced after a move like this. We'll check it out. That's how Peter Goskew created all of these moves. He tested them on himself for 1.5 to 2 years first, before people started beating down his door saying, wow, please help me. And that's really how he got started. He fixed himself, and people wanted help. Switch again. In and out. And this move is called femur rotations. In fact, it's called hook-lying isolated femur rotations because it describes the position we're in. You can do this in many different positions: legs up the wall, sitting floor position, sitting in a chair position. Sure. This should also feel active. I'd like to stress that. Some of my clients in the past didn't realize, oh, this should be pretty intense. You're really trying to force the leg out. Yes, force is the wrong word, but you want it to feel active, feel like work. Switch. You want to go all the way in, all the way out. It's a rotation. It doesn't hurt to get to know some of the, well, I could say it's an industry term, right? To throw back to my cousin Vinny, the industry terms, medical industry, fitness industry, actual terms of the direction of force and the way that joints move. So when people say, oh yeah, flex your muscles, that's actually a misnomer. You're not flexing any muscles. Flexion is the description of what happens to a joint, not to a muscle. A muscle contracts. One last time, everybody, we're switching. As you spend time with me, you'll start to pick up this lexicon that I use, this vocabulary that I use, and you'll start to apply it and understand it. And then you'll be able to more accurately describe what's going on. That's why I use these terms, and I try to teach you guys, because it's a question of accuracy. Question of accuracy. And I love Peter Goskew because he works in layman's terms, and then he starts building up descriptions of accuracy. Switch one last time, everybody. He does the same thing, and I really like that. So I don't try to talk down with you by saying dorsiflex the ankle. I'll say dorsiflex, and then I'll describe what I'm doing so you can learn what dorsiflexion is. And that's how I learned. My favorite moves. Does everybody feel it getting a different sensation as you go back and forth between the legs? Things are changing. You feel things maybe loosening up, maybe things tightening up, sensations moving through your body. I'm getting the sensation up into my lower back finally. So we're asking hip flexors to do work, glutes, a lot of stuff going on. Okay, friends, we're going to move into cross crawl. Now, this is one of the easier moves that you can do laying on the floor if you don't like hands and knees. I'm just trying to spread myself out so I don't hit the wall. Cross crawl looks like this from the side. Remember, we're keeping the ankle and knee in line with the hip. So when I move my arm and bring my knee in towards my chest, I'm not letting it dive out to the side. I'm going to show you another view, another camera angle, so you can understand this move. It's a back and forth. Opposite arm to opposite leg, ladies. Some of you have that tendency to do the same side. And that's just the body that is repatterned. And you forget. So everybody got the idea here? This is called the cross crawl. Of course, I look kind of ugly on the one side because my shoulder still isn't going all the way. Frustrating point for me, but hey, you know, you live, you learn. So some nuances I want you to pay attention to with this move is keeping your elbows straight. This is a movement for your shoulder. When you pull your knee in towards your chest, I want you to keep your ankle dorsiflex and keep your shin parallel to the floor. Don't let your heel drop to your butt. Same thing when we did last week. We did foot circles, point flexes. Keep your shin parallel. We're going to do about 140 million of these. You're going to feel your heart rate go up, yes, because we're using the big posture muscles to move and to work. There's not a whole lot of load going on here, but there is some. The heart rate should go up. Opposite arm, opposite leg. If you need to take a break, take a break. Can you do this standing up? Yeah. Can you do this laying on the bed? Sure. You could do this standing up. Think of it like a really slow motion skip. Same thing. Stand on one leg, pick the other leg up. If that's not working for you, hold on to something. Try to keep your knee in line with your hip. There's a few more because it feels so darn good. Usually I'm doing up to 40 of these. This move will actually get both sides of my pelvis to come more even, to remember that they should work together and not be locked in one position. I'm gonna take you guys into hip crossover stretch, one of my favorites. It looks like this. If you know it, get right into it. Who cares if you stay in it for 2 minutes while I yap away? So I'm gonna start in the hook lying position. I'm gonna take the arms out to a T with the palms face down. I'm gonna cross the left ankle to the right knee, but do not slide your right foot across the floor. You're gonna leave it where it is. Just rotate through your lower back again, and the legs will drop to the right. If they don't hit the floor, don't worry about it. If you're that tight, don't worry about it. Just kind of hang there where you feel the stretch. It also takes a good amount of muscle to twist your body like this. One of my clients can't even get to the floor because she's so weak in this area. She can't reach to the floor and hold it. So holding here just for a minute. I also want you to pay attention to your left knee, point it towards the sky. So we're using the muscles that we just woke up with the femur rotations, inner, outer rotation. We're asking the hip to outwardly rotate, draw the knee away from you until it points to the sky. Nuances for you intermediates and advanced. Pay attention to the position of your foot, the sole of the foot that's on the floor. You want that foot to point in the same direction that your knee is. Your knee tells the foot where to go. So pay attention to that. The other thing is keep your palms open nice and wide and active. Reach across your wingspan as if you're trying to increase the distance between your left middle finger and your right middle finger. And that's going to engage your shoulders in a new way. This is the hip crossover stretch. Switch to the other side, please. I caught my client and I yelled at her the other day, called her a cheater. She switched while she was in the move and then just twisted again. I'm like, you cheater. You have to come back to center. Start with clean form. So you're starting with your feet in line with your hips, nice and clean, then cross the ankle over, then begin the twist. Don't you guys cheat on me. Egoscue is posture. That's what it is. Sorry, Pete, you are now posture. Some people call him the father of posture because he was talking about this almost 50 years ago. But when we talk about posture, we want the posture to come back to its original design. Yes, there is a lot of judgment. Yes, there is. This ain't no yoga class. So when we pay attention to posture, our eye catches things. Wow, that person's shoulder is lifted, or that person's foot turns out, that person's knee is turned in, that person's head is in a different position. Your eye should catch these things. That's important. That's part of this. So when you're paying attention to posture, we must pay attention to the form that we have when we're trying to influence that posture. Were my words too big? I hope you're following me on that one. We are influencing your posture by stimulating your body. Pelvic tilts, everyone. Picking my shirt up so you can see what I'm doing with my pelvis. Good, I'm wearing gray. Okay, I did that on purpose. We're gonna rock the pelvis back and forth. Remember earlier I talked about anterior and posterior tilt? That's what we're doing with just the pelvis here in this move. Back and forth. And usually we do 10. Today, we're gonna do it for 2 minutes. I don't care how many you do. And you can do this if you're sitting in a chair. You can do this with a bear. Oh, goodness. No. I set my timer all wrong. Back and forth, everybody. So we're going into pelvic tilts. That's all this is. Wow, this timer's all messed up now. Skip it for now. Nuances with pelvic tilts. Do not be heavy on your legs at all. You want this motion to come from your hips. We're rocking the pelvis back and forth. You want the motion to come from your hips. So I'm not turning it into a bridge. I'm not pushing my feet into the ground and lifting my butt up off of the floor. Be light on your feet. In fact, if you could be so light on your feet that you could pick your feet up off of the floor, you'll notice what your hips and pelvis and torso can do to the pelvis without the help of your legs. That's what we want to do. That's the direction you want to go. Very nice, everybody. You're going to get your block. We're going to head on into some of those moves. Do block. And just leave your block nearby next. We're going to do gluteal contractions, old school, just like we used to do laying in hook lying position. And then we're going to do knee pillow squeezes next. So we're still in this laying down on the floor position, everybody. Again, if you're not on the floor, you can definitely do this sitting in a chair. Glute squeezes. You squeeze your butt and then release it. Both butt cheeks. When I refer to your butt, I'm referring to the glutes, the superficial muscles, which means that they're close to the skin. You can feel them. You're squeezing them over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Put your hands on your glutes if you've never done this before and you don't know. If you don't feel that muscle contracting and doing work, which it might not be, you can extend your legs straight out on the floor and then give it a try. You'll definitely feel something going on at that point. So over and over, I'm squeezing my glutes. It is not a squeeze of the sphincter. One of my clients said that's all he had going on when I first met him, and he's never done Egoscue. That was all he could achieve. And that's happened to me many, many times before with students and with clients. So if that's happening to you, welcome to muscles that don't work. So extend your legs straight out on the floor or the bed or stand. Over and over, gluteal contractions. There's no nuances I can give you for this one, but you should not be using your abdominal muscles to do this work. So if you touch your abs and you've never done this exercise before and you feel your abdominals are contracting, then I would say dial your effort back, because we don't want your abdominals to do the work that your butt's supposed to do. They should not be connected, but they've gotten themselves connected due to some of the muscle groups shutting down and learning a new pattern. So we have to unwind that. This is butt only. Butt only. We are an exclusive club for butts only. Keep on going, everybody. This feels great. The other thing that might be happening to you is a timing difference. It's going right, left, right, left, right, left, instead of both at the same time. That will clear itself up the more of these that you do. So don't fear. It will clean itself up. Our next move is going to be knee pillow squeezes. You know what? I'm going to take you into the sitting position for this one. Sitting position, please. So you can either grab your chair if you don't want to sit or you don't have a chair. Don't. Stay in the hook lying position, just where I left you. I'm going to do sitting knee pillow squeezes. This one's interesting because now I'm asking your body, after all that work on the floor, to vertically load. So it's going to be tougher on the body, but you can do it. It's still, I wouldn't call this a tough exercise. When we do sitting knee pillow squeezes, we sit in extension, friends. So we're actually going to try to tip the pelvis forward into the anterior tilt. Even if you can't do that from the groin area and you get it done a little bit from the back, that's okay. If you're new, it's no big deal. So I start in my slouch position, make sure my ankles are under my knees, my feet are that hip distance, right? You want to stay with the hip distance. I'm in my slouch. I'm going to roll a little arch into my lower back. Notice it will change what goes on through the rest of the spine, just like I spoke about in that first move, but I'm not lifting my sternum to get it done. So I'll show you one more time. You roll an arch into your lower back. That's it. I'm not lifting my sternum and my boobs and my chest to get it done. Put your pillow or your block in between your knees. Still sitting in extension. Apply pressure and release onto the block over and over. I don't have any kids in this class. Sometimes I do. When I used to teach in more youthful studios, they didn't know who the heck Suzanne Summers was, but you guys do. So that's what we're doing. This is the Suzanne Summers Thigh Master. Squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze your way to shapelier hips and thighs. Oh boy. As you sit here, if you've done this, if this is your first time doing this, you might lose that extension in your pelvis. So I want you to check. If you notice, oh, I'm starting to slump back, give yourself a break. Take a break. Do 2 squeezes. But I want you to try to get this done while you sit in extension. So I sit in extension again. I continue. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. This is called sitting knee pillow squeezes. And guess what? You can do it. I've done it driving in the car, in the truck. I can certainly do that. You put on some cruise control, you're sitting in the lane. Okay. Sit upright, do some knee pillow squeezes. Absolutely. It helps change the position of your head, as you guys can feel. And it's also strengthening the hips so that the hips will tell your head for however long to stay there after this exercise. That's our goal. I get that an awful lot. Kim, well, how often do I have to do this? And do I have to stay aware of my posture throughout the day? Don't I have to think about that? No, Egoscue is very different. The body should be doing this on its own. When it doesn't do this on its own anymore, it's because muscles have learned to fail and shift their work to other muscles, which is called compensation. So through these exercises, we're retraining those muscles to wake up, do their job, and hold this person upright. What else should I give you here? This is a nice, easy one. I should make this a little bit harder, shouldn't I? Okay, let's do it. Take your block out. This is not part of the B routine, but it's definitely helpful. Grab your strap wherever that's at. Wherever that's at. I'm going to take this forward so you guys can see. I am still sitting in extension when I do this work. We are going to do abductor presses, and we're also going to do heel raises with the strap on. With the strap on. No, it's not pornographic. So you press out on the strap and release over and over. I'm still sitting in extension. Same idea that we did with the pillow. So I'm rolling that arch into my lower back, push, release. This has been a big saver for pregnant women. Some pregnant women, because of the changes going on in their body and the position of their pelvis, end up with some painful sciatica. And this is a big lifesaver for them, waking up the muscles that will help align the hip in the socket so that it doesn't press on the nerve and give them pain. And this is abductor presses with the strap. It looks like I'm not doing much because the strap has so much resistance. It's not letting my leg actually move. But I am applying force. I just caught myself again. I got a little lazy. Sit in extension. Push. Again, I'm paying attention to not cheating and lifting my sternum. That is not sitting in extension from the pelvis. That's extension from your spine, your upper back. Yes, I don't want that. I want all this work to be coming from the hips, the biggest joints in the body. They need to be your drivers again, not your arms, not your upper body. They don't drive you. They aid in the drive. Ready for the heel lifts, everybody? We'll make it easy. We're going to keep the toes on the floor, and we're going to lift the heels up off of the floor. I can hear you guys shouting right now. What position are the ankles going into as I lift? You're right, plantar flexion. You guys are learning. And now we're going to make it harder, because this is really easy to do with the calf muscles, right? Gastrocnemius, whole big concoction back here that's been made to help bring your ankle into that position. I want you to think of it as this is an easier version of doing something like this. So I'm allowing you to keep your toes on the floor, but I want this work to come from your hips. So you're going to keep the toes on the floor. Don't try to use your calves. Instead, think about being really light on your toes, like you have strings on your knees, and you're picking up using the hip. You feel that difference? So if you're heavy on your legs, I could use my calves all day long. Be light on your feet, which shifts the work into your hips. These are heel raises with strap. I know, I told you Pete is all about layman's terms. All these exercises. Oh, 15 minutes and we're done with this class? Really? Can't be. Can't be. No. We're going to say bye-bye to this move. I'm going to head us into some other stuff. Let's do it. Take the strap off. I think I'm going to save a doozy for you for the end. I am going to have you guys do, let's do cats and dogs on the floor. Take you onto the wall. Cats and dogs is a hands and knees move. You can do this sitting in the chair. If you can't get onto your hands and knees, that's okay. All we're doing is moving the spine via the pelvis. If your wrists hurt today, you can come onto your fist, take the bend out of your wrist, and you can get it done this way. All that hip motion and all that hip strengthening that we just did, you should have some hips and pelvises that move really smoothly now. Just taking my pelvis into that posterior and anterior tilt, just like we did on the floor with the pelvic tilts for 2 minutes. Except now we're asking the shoulders to come along for the ride and the head to finish the movement. A lot of people go wrong with this one, but only if they're super, super weak and they start doing this movement and they think they're doing cats and dogs by going back and forth. But I rarely see that from you folks that are at least able to move and aren't stuck in a wheelchair. But just pay attention to that. You don't want to be going back and forth. No back and forth for you. All right, friends, I am going to take you over to the wall. If you don't have a wall, this might be interesting, but maybe skip it and watch me. So we're going to do leg splits. against the wall. We haven't touched on this in a while. You can do this standing if you wanted to. It can certainly be done. So if wall doesn't work for you, do it standing. Again, I've got the heater here, so it's not going to be the best, but it'll be darn close. So I'm going to put my butt against the wall. I'm going to put my legs straight up the wall. Some of you might not end up here because your butt comes off of the floor because of the position of your pelvis. Hopefully we nipped that in the butt, pun was intended, and your pelvis is able to sit on the floor with your tailbone while your legs are up. If that's not happening, just walk your body away from the wall until your tailbone does hit the floor. This is a similar move as to me sitting with my back against the wall. So if you don't have a wall, you can go up, you can sit with your legs out in front of you and your back trapped against the wall. Keep your feet parallel. We're going to split the legs open as wide as we can go and hold. Sometimes we do femur rotations just like we did on the floor in 4 different positions, similar to what we did with one of the first moves. Remember the windmills that we did? We did legs underneath the hips, wider, widest, and back to the beginning position. You can do femur rotations here as well. You can do arm stuff while we're here, which is what we're going to do. So again, your tailbone must be on the floor. If it is not, move away from the wall enough for your tailbone to be on the floor. Or you can sit with your back against the wall and your legs out on the floor. Remember, ankles dorsiflexed, thighs tight, feet parallel. Now, we're going to go on to the arms. Of course, we can get stuff done with the arms while we're in this position. Why not? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Elbows straight, palms together, interlace your fingers. We're going to drop the arms backwards overhead. These are called pullovers, and bring them back over your chest. Yes, this is a weird position to do pullovers in, right? I don't think we've ever done pullovers here, but why not? Just do it. Come up with some stuff. Again, if this bothers you, this hurts, don't do it. You can sit with your back against the wall and just wait. Next move we do might be helpful for you. Pay attention to your legs here, everybody. Don't let them fall out. Stay in the split. If that bothers you, take your legs to a different position. No harm in that. This might hurt some of your upper backs or your shoulders. Skip it. Do one of the moves we did earlier. Go back to some of the stretches. I can't be with everybody there as much as you could hear it in my language that I want to be. I'm trying to cover all the bases, all the problems that I think some of you might be experiencing. I wish I could be there to help you. I really want to be. Fantastic. Good job, everybody. Just for good measure, we're going to take the legs into femur rotations in this wide position. Why? Because so out and in. It's going to feel really tough to do. Both legs are now doing the femur rotations. Remember what we did on the floor? We're doing both legs at the same time, in and out. So my feet point out and then my feet point in towards each other, back and forth. Yes, the ankle stays dorsiflexed. Do not move through your ankle. This is for your hips. Again, hips, 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 hips. Very, very hip driven. We should be hip driven. In and out. In fact, with all of that work, my legs realized, hey, I can drop further. So it did. I just dropped my legs open wider in a split as some of the muscles remembered how to work, other muscles let go. Before you know it, your split's getting wider. That was an old video that I put up on my YouTube, how to get deeper splits without actually stretching. This is how. One of the ways. All right, my friends, We're not going to stay away from the wall for too much longer. No, we're not going to come off the wall for too much longer. We're going to take it right back to straight up the wall. And I'm going to give you a few hamstring curls. Pay attention to your legs while you do this move. I want you to look at your feet. Keep them in line with your hips. You're going to bend your knees, bring them to your chest, and glide your feet down the wall. Glide them back up the wall. Just a few of these. It's a good thing you can see your legs and your feet. Usually I'm doing this with a block between my knees. But if you do this with the block between your knees, you won't be able to see your feet. So if you're brand new at this, get used to it. Take a look at your feet, and then you can put a block in between your knees and check it out. You can also do this with a strap around your knees. These are called the hamstring glides. Again, tailbone has to be on the floor. So if this is too much for you and your tailbone is coming off the floor as you bring your knees towards your chest, walk away from the wall a little bit. You can get this done laying on a bed too. You can get this done laying on the floor without your legs going off the wall. But this is just forcing your hips to do an awful lot of work, and that's why we're doing it. You need it. You're going to hate me for the next few moves. But we're going to hit it, and we're going to hit it hard. We're going to come up, everybody, and we're going to do incline push-ups, which are easier version. I'll give you a chance to do decline push-ups if you want to. I'm not going to show them to you because I hurt my shoulder last time doing it, because the shoulder is still left up. It is. So I'm not going to do the decline, but I will do the incline. Decline means your shoulders are lower than your legs, and you could put your legs up on top of something. But I'm going to show you incline push-ups. Incline push-ups are Egoscue style. So we keep our feet pointed straight ahead, and we keep the thighs tight. You can lean against a wall. And of course, the further away you walk from the wall, the harder this is going to be. So I leave it down to you to find where it works for you. And you're going to belt out 10 push-ups. I like to use my window over here. So I'm sorry I'm getting too close, but I like to use the window because I can really hang on to something and I can get deep into my push-up. So I'm getting my shoulder blades to come back and down. I'm kissing the window edge, the window sill. 9, 8, thighs tight. 7, you could use a couch, you could use a wall. 6, 5, 4, shoulders back and down, everybody, when you get down to that depth. 3, 2, 1, come back down to the floor, or if you're sick of doing that, maybe you need a different channel, but you can do this sitting on a chair. So the flutter kicks can be done on the chair. We're going to do 50 flutter kicks. I don't care if you sit in a chair doing it or you take it to the floor. I'm going to the floor. 10 push-ups, 50 flutter kicks. So I like to put my hands underneath my butt, legs stay straight. This is quite a strengthening move back into the hips that we were just working to realign. Every 10, I change the position of my ankles. Whether you're sitting in a chair or you're laying on the floor, every 10, do a little ankle position changing. Dorsiflex, plantar flex. As much as you might think this is an abdominal workout, this is a hip workout. The abs are working to aid the hips. We are moving from the hip. We're not moving our spine. We're not moving from the abs. The abs are doing work. They used to teach that this was an abdominal exercise, and I never understood it because they were wrong. This is not an abdominal exercise. This is a hip exercise. The abs are working to support. Fantastic. We are going to get up again, and we're going right back into our push-ups. Now, you have the chance to do decline push-ups if you'd like to. In fact, you know what? I haven't tried this in a while. I'm going to try it again on myself. Go back to where you were, incline, or try the decline. I'm going to do decline push-ups, and I'm not going all the way down to the floor. I don't care if I do a little inch. It's okay. Shoulders back and down. Oh, Kim's going to get stuck. All right. Not bad, but hard. I am not going all the way down because I know I'll just fall flat on my face. I don't have the strength in my shoulder just yet. Who knows if I ever will? You know what's so funny? I don't feel a lot of that in my arms. I feel it all right here. That's a hip workout. It's a whole body right there. Come on up, everybody. We're going to go back to our trusty windmill. Feet point straight ahead. Arms out. Now you've done about almost an hour's worth of work. You'll get a chance to see, how does the windmill feel now? How does it feel now? Is it different? Are you sweating bullets? I'm just watching a couple of you, making sure no shoulder movement. Right there, blue shirt. Not sure who it is because I can't read. Every time you lean over to the left, you're doing this with your shoulders. So probably when you lean to the left side, it's a little bit harder for you to do, and your body's going, oh, complete the movement. And this is happening. So just be aware of that. When you lean to your right, move only through your waist. No shoulder movement. Stance out wider, everybody, if you haven't gotten there already. I'm seeing a lot of shoulder movement, so don't do it. If your arms are getting tired, put your hands on your waist or take a break. That's cool. Totally cool. This is not easy, still challenging. We belted out push-ups. I did decline push-ups for a long time. I haven't touched that one. Widest position, friends. And in the widest position, we're going to skip the last windmills. Instead, I am going to give you triangle. Everyone ready? Widest position on the wall if you can. Look at your left foot. You're going to rotate out your left foot so that now it's perpendicular to your right. Looks like so. We're going to lean over, just like we did in the windmill, by sitting the hip out over towards the right foot. And hold for 5 breaths. This is our triangle. I love to look down at my left foot because sometimes my ankle rolls in or out. Pay attention to it. Keep the ankle still. Keep it straight. Everything on your imaginary wall. Right hip, right arm. Whoa, everything. Come on out. We're going to go to the other side. Usually we hold that for a minute, but we're working hard today. My right foot now points out, perpendicular. Everything on my imaginary wall. Sink my hip over, lean. The wider you go, the harder this is going to be. So if it's too much, don't stand as wide as I am. Like I said earlier, you've got to listen to your body. I don't live in your body. I can't come up with every possible scenario that may hurt you or may be beneficial for you. So it's important. That's why Egoscue, we listen to the body. We're listening to the client's body, the student's body. We're watching what it does. Come on out. Fantastic. We're going to take one last move, everybody, and it's called squat. We're going to hold that for 5 breaths. Arms straight out in front of you. Squeeze your shoulders back and down. And think about that beautiful S curve we created in the spine when we did sitting knee pillow squeezes. Keep it. S curve. That's it. S curve. So it's not a tuck under of the tailbone. It's recruiting the hip flexors. We're sitting in extension, if you will. Good. Come on out. Just 5 breaths. You want to hold for longer? You may. You can sit there for 2 hours if you want. In the meantime, I'll be waiting until next week when I'll see you guys again right here. Same bat channel, same bat place. Enjoy, everybody. Hey, smiles. You guys are okay. See you next week.